One of my patrons, Timothy, suggested that I talk about German words that have more than one possible gender. And if you are trying to learn German, I'm afraid this is likely to get a bit scary. But if it is any consolation, it scares native German speakers as well. For those who don't know what this is about, all nouns in German can be classified as either masculine, feminine, or neuter. These are abstract grammatical genders. A table is grammatically masculine in German, but that doesn't mean that it's literally male. You'd think that each noun has its gender and that's what its gender is, and for the most part that's true. But there are some nouns where people disagree on the gender that it should have. For example, the word Keks is masculine, right? Well, usually it is, but for some people it's neuter. At this point, we need to distinguish between words that have more than one possible gender and homonyms that have different genders. So, for example, Tor, when it's neuter, is a word that means gate. But when it's masculine, it's a different word that means fool. These are two different words that just happen to be spelled and pronounced the same way. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is nouns whose gender is disputed. Take, for example, the German word Abscheu. For some people it's masculine because originally it was derived from a verb, but for others it's feminine because it ends in scheu, and scheu is definitely feminine. Sometimes there are regional variations. For example, in most of Germany the word Butter is feminine, which is a bit inconvenient because one of the rules that you learn about German genders is that nouns ending in ER tend to be masculine. This is an exception. But in southern German dialects, reason prevails, and the word Butter is masculine. I used to think that that was because of the ending, but it turns out that the story is a bit more complicated than that. There was a much older word for something similar to butter, and it was masculine, so speakers of Upper German dialects simply kept that gender for the new word. But the word butter is borrowed from Latin, where it's neuter. But according to my etymological dictionary, Germanic speakers took the plural form, and for some reason that makes it feminine. Most words that have this problem are those that are borrowed from other languages, especially the more recent arrivals. There's no central authority dictating which gender each word must have, and so it's all down to ordinary Germans coming to some sort of collective decision, and that can take time. Take the word blog. When it was first introduced into German, it was usually neuter, but over the years more and more people started making it masculine, and today that's how most German speakers think of it. It hasn't been a smooth transition. For years now, people have been arguing surprisingly passionately for one gender or another. I even found a blog dedicated to telling people that the German word blog is neuter and always has been, and anyone who says any different is just plain wrong. Mind you, that blog only has 6 entries and lasted from February 2005 until July 2006. That was the date that Duden, the most important reference work for the German language, listed both genders as correct, and the blog author gave up. There's a fairly long list of nouns that have what Germans call fluctuating gender. Which gender is actually used will depend on which gender feels right to an individual speaker, and that's hard to define. The big one though is Nutella. Depending on who you ask, it's either masculine, feminine, or neuter. The makers of Nutella refuse to rule on the matter, saying that it's a made-up name, and they don't care what gender it has. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to send me a postcard, here's the address. And don't forget to visit my website and follow me on Twitter and Facebook. Also, if you'd like access to special bonus content and help with the costs of running this channel, please consider making a small monthly donation on Patreon.